All right, so on this, and again, if it goes mute, just let me know. So big thing that I need you guys to make sure you have access to this. This is that reference materials that's on your main Schoology page. And then you guys in here, we have the hard copy of our periodic table. So I want to show you that you have this material right here. Okay, if you go back to our main page, and I even put it in the new classroom, it's the one that looks like Ref Mat Chem 2, all right? If you click on that, that's going to be your little periodic table. I say little, it's 4 pages, but this is the one that has all of your formulas that you're going to need for the year. And so if you actually go to the 3rd page, it's going to be like if you have a hard copy. So if you've been lucky to kind of be in class, it's when you open up the periodic table, it's right there. But this has your polyatomic ions, and you have your periodic table down here that you can mark up as much as you want, as long as you download it, right? So you do have access to that. It's this thing. It's listed at the top of your Schoology page, okay? All right, so that's going to be kind of what I'm referring to when I'm looking at my iPad. Let me make this big. There we go. Cool. All right, so I'll kind of switch back and forth to this screen every once in a while. All right, so looking at our review, okay, when we're writing in our names of our compounds like this, okay, we have to ask ourselves if we're dealing with an ionic or a covalent compound, right? And so I did post something in the updates that I did. Actually, I guess I wanted to show you guys that too real quick. Hold on. Here it is. All right. So let me show you that real quick. This is what I just gave you on the Schoology page and the updates. All right. So let me show you just kind of how to use it. So you guys had a lot of practice in that lab of asking yourself, is it ionic or is it covalent? And the one question that you're asking yourself is, does it have a metal? Okay. So you know where that metalloids line is. You should be able to answer if it's ionic or covalent. Okay. So if you're dealing with covalent, meaning everything that's a non-metal, right? So all of your non-metals. So looking at this little periodic table, everything over here to the left, to the right is nonmetals. So if we're dealing with that, then we have our there we go. Then we're dealing with covalent, which is our prefixes, right? If we have a metal, that's when it gets a little bit complicated, and you have to ask yourself, okay, is it only 2 things? Okay, so for this first example that we're dealing with on our review, we have something that only has 2 things, right? Magnesium, and we have bromine. So it only has 2 things. Does it contain a transition metal? Where are the transition metals located? Do you remember? The center, right? Yeah, right here. Good. So does it contain something that's in this center part? And then you would go with that. So looking at our example that we're dealing with, we have magnesium. Is magnesium in the center? No, it's over here. It's a main group element. Once you know that you don't have a transition metal, you're just names of the elements only. And that's going to be how you approach it. I'm so sorry that I forgot about this flow chart, and I really should have given it to you guys right from the start. But try to use it today. You have a lot of practice that you can definitely try it out on, and I hope it works. So, yes. Wait, of which part? The review or that? Oh, flow chart. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we have magnesium. And then we're just going to name it as is. So Br is bromine, but we're not going to call it bromine. I think it was really explained well in the video. He had a whole little list of all the ides. Yeah, so this is going to be bromide. Okay. So you're just going to name it as is. So you saw me use the flow chart. That's going to be kind of the way you're going to think of it. So for the next one, you're going to deal with the same idea. All right. Because the important thing is where did these subscripts come from? Why don't we even mention them? They came from, like, where did this little 3 come from right here? What? I think I heard it. No? Anybody at home? Where did that little 3 come from? Right here next to barium. Oh, man. Silence, the silence. All right. So we'll come back to that. I'll come back to that question. All right. Real quick. When you're dealing with your charges, I hope that I don't have to remind you of this because you have plenty of resources where you need to look for those. Okay. Including if you look at the next page of your review, which is not that page. Let me put this right here. Okay. You have this. Okay. So you have your charges that go with all of your different columns. So group 1 is a +1. Group 2 is a +2. Group 13 is +3. Group 14 is ±4. 15 -3, -2, -1, and then 0. All right. So you have those charges. You have this picture. Please use it to answer question number 2. All right. Does anybody know the question that I was just asking a second ago yet? That should have reminded you a little bit. Where does that little 3 come from? Little 3. Who did it come from? Well, it has to do with 13, yeah. So who did it come from, the barium or the nitrogen? Nitrogen, good. So group 13, nitrogen was in group 13. I'm sorry, I said 13. It was in group, not 13. Group what? Nitrogen's over here. He's in group 15. So he had a -3 charge, right? Okay. So it came from that -3 that came from nitrogen and it was crisscrossed. Barium had a 2. That's why we don't say anything about the subscripts, okay? We don't say anything about subscripts because those subscripts are coming from charges. They just fit together like a puzzle piece. We don't need to mention them. All right. The next one on the review. So if you are working on your computer for this question, right here, if you double click that box, it'll bring up Google Drawings and you can draw it in, okay? Just so you guys know. All right, so for this one, I'm not going to show you oxygen. I'm going to show you, let's do fluorine. Because if I do oxygen, that's too easy. All right, so fluorine. So looking at our periodic table, fluorine is in group 17. So how many valence electrons? How many valence electrons on fluorine who is in group 17? And people at home, you guys can answer in the chat or out loud as well. Group 17. Oh, 7. Yes, good. So we got 7 valence electrons. So we're going to go ahead and draw that in. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I went all the way around before I start doubling up. 5, 6, and 7. That's what you're going to be doing for oxygen. Oxygen is in group 16. So he's only going to have 6 valence electrons. All right. Next one we've got is going to be, what are the chemical formulas for the following names? So this is what I was talking about just a second ago with the crisscrossing thing. So we're going to look up beryllium and phosphorus. So beryllium is right here in group 2, right? So here's beryllium. Phosphorus is going to be over here in group, the other one, group 15. All right, so we have a -3 and a +2. And I'm just getting that once again from here, right? +2 for beryllium. Phosphorus is a -3. So when you go to actually write the compound, you're going to have beryllium, so Be with a +2. Phosphorus, -3. Take those charges and you crisscross them. Be3, 2. Sorry for that. Yeah. I'll rewrite it for y'all later. Okay. All right. So just crisscross your charges for those right there. Okay. Once again, I'm going to keep stressing you have this image on your last page. So do not guess about those charges. Use your resources. We are literally handing you everything that you need. Okay. All right. You just flip the charges. Yep. No signs come down because it's about how they fit together like a puzzle piece. How many do I need? Because remember, it came from drawing the arrows. Yes. All right. So, and actually, I think on the key, number 6 has it drawn like that. So why don't we just do that real quick? So writing your correct formula using the transfer of electrons. All right. So for lithium, we have a plus 1. So we would have drawn that. Sorry, I won't use yellow. We'll do lithium. He's in group 1, so we're going to give him 1 dot. Sulfur is in group 16, so he has 6 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. To show the transfer, we're going to put an arrow there. We see that sulfur still has 1 more. So we're going to go ahead and draw 1 more lithium to satisfy sulfur's lack of electrons. All right. So we drew 2 lithiums, 1 sulfur. Now everybody is good. We have lithium with a +1 charge, another lithium with a +1 charge, and sulfur who is all full, and he has that -2. Okay. When you count that up, you end up with lithium 2, right? So we have Li, little 2, sulfur, there's only 1. So we leave that one alone. Okay. If you were to do the cross and drop, that's what you're seeing happening. You have Li, the 2 came across, and sulfur was left with 1. Okay. All right. The other one that I really wanted to make sure I hit, on Friday, we did handle the ones like number 7. So make sure when you go to finish yours, I think it's on this one. Yeah. This little table, look over that table. Double check that from Friday. If you missed the Zoom call on Friday, that was when I went over that table. Go watch the recording. It's in your updates. I make it very available to you, okay? All right. So, double check the table for number 7. What do you mean? No, just like making sure it's like right around. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I was like, what do I have to double check? Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So when you're doing something like number 8 was the new material on Friday. So I did want to take a second to just show you it one more time. So here we have, Na and we have OH. Okay. Now, if you were to look at that little flow chart again, okay, we say, okay, Na tells me that it is ionic. We have a metal, right? It's all on this side of the periodic table. So we're ionic. How many elements did it contain? Was it only 2 or is it more? Right here we have NaOH. So we have 3. So we're going more than 2. Use your polyatomic chart to find the names. So that tells you that you already know what Na is from your periodic table. There we go. So you already have Na, which is sodium. Okay. Now you got to go look up this one. All right. Now this is going to be tricky for me. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can make this work. It only works when it wants to. Let me go ungroup. Yay. Okay, cool. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're going to look at the list. So this is on that inside or page 3 on the one that's shared with you online, you guys. So right here, we found OH. Okay, so we have right here, OH, it has a -1 charge. That's why there's no subscripts on this one. Okay, hydroxide. So that's all you're going to do. You're just going to literally write that out, and then you're done with it. Okay, So don't let the polyatomics scare you. Just write them as they are. Use your little chart to match them up. I think we are all very capable of matching. Okay? And that's how we would approach that. One thing that I did change, so it just depends if you downloaded it before school or not. I found a typo. This cannot be ammonia. It is ammonium. Ammonia is a totally different thing. Okay, so ammonium is the polyatomic ion. And if you look at your list, it's going to be NH4, and it has a little plus charge on it. So in the video from Friday, I kind of had you guys make sure you put them in parentheses. Fluorine is in group 17, so he has a -1 charge. When you crisscross those, that means that you're going to end up with little ones down here, right? So we don't write those. So your final answer is NH4F. And that's it. Okay? Ammonium is the only one that is positive. I'm pretty sure on your test we don't put that one on there. I think we stuck with the negative ones, just so you know. All right. Does anybody need the Roman numeral kind? I guess I could show one more. Okay. Who? Okay, so I'm looking at, hopefully you have yours up. I'm going to kind of write over here in this blank space over here. So we have iron 3 oxide. I feel like I always do iron 3 oxide. That's okay. We'll do iron 3 oxide one more time. So iron 3 oxide. So remember, when you are going from your name to your formula, okay, you are dealing with, name to the formula, you got to check to see what this part is. So if we have Roman numerals involved, those are just the charges. So iron on your periodic table would be Fe. That 3 is going to be a +3. Oxygen is in group 16, so he has a -2. Okay, so this one came from the periodic table. This one came from the Roman numerals, okay? And that's the big thing to remember when you're dealing with your transition metals. If you look up your little, where iron is located, iron is right here. He's in the center, okay? So that means that you had to do the Roman numeral thinking. That's why we have to give it to you. And then once you have that, you just crisscross them like normal. So they all ultimately still end up the same thing. When I give you the formula and you have to figure out the name, that's the one that probably gives us the most issues, all right? So for example, I have CuO right here, okay? CuO right here. So if I have CuO, this is the one where we have to, we focus on the fact that copper is found in the middle. He's transitioned, so we have to leave that one alone. We go straight to what we do know, which is our nonmetal. The nonmetal here has a -2 charge. So we're going to multiply it by however many we have. So we only have one here. That gives us an overall of a -2 charge. Okay. Okay. Once we know that, remember, everything is trying to be like your noble gas. So we're trying to have that charge of 0. So what -2 equals 0? 2, right? And then we see how many metals we have. We're going to divide it by that number, okay? And we end up with a +2 charge. Once you've figured out what your charge is, your naming it is just going to involve your Roman numerals. So you're going to have copper 2 oxide. And that's it, okay? How do we what? On the computer, I would do capital I and V. So I, V, V, yeah. Don't worry about it looking all fancy like that. Or you can do the lowercase. Some people like the lowercase ones too. Okay. So the only other thing that I wanted to make sure you guys got was that practice your covalent. All you got to do is pull out the little prefixes and use them. I realized I did not give you guys a copy of those on your review. I'm sorry. I'll go add it to the key so at least you have it there. But you should have it in your notes. What I recommend, this page was meant to give you that extra practice. So what I have told morning classes is pick odds or evens. All right, pick odds or evens, try them out, check the key right away. If you get less than a 50% right, go back and do the other ones. All right, but if you get 100% right, then you're good. That's all you got to do. Do half of them. Okay, I know it's 24, so it takes a little bit of time. Practice using the little flow chart, and I think it'll really help. Okay. Now I'm going to leave the Zoom call open, so you're more than welcome to jump back on, but I'm going to let you guys go get your practice in, and I'll see you tomorrow for the test. Okay. So bye at home, and you guys go ahead and work for about 10 minutes, and we'll start going over some stuff. Okay. Hey, what's up? Okay. Definitely. Hold on one second. Let me stop the recording. I realize I'm still recording.